Evening, everyone. It's Jay back in my movie room, and this is part two of the Grumpy Old Gentleman on Film movie marathon. This is our little uh, response to Ryan Chataway's 24-hour movie marathon, sort of a fuck you to him, uh, according to James Higgins. Um, James has always participated in that marathon that Ryan has every year or so, and James was kind enough to come up with this idea for our little grumpy old gentleman group. And whereas Ryan's movie marathon had all kinds of rules where you watched a certain amount of movies in 24 hours, it had to be a certain length, a certain genre. uh, Ours is a little bit more laid back and fun, I think, where each one of the grumpy old gentlemen just picks two films for the other members to watch. Doesn't matter about the length or genre or anything like that. One has to be the first one has to be a favorite film, like a top 10 favorite, and the second one can just be any random film. And tonight I'm doing James's two picks for me, which I watched last night. Harry's I watched the night before last, and they were Layer Cake and The Hateful Eight, which I both love. And James picked two films for me. One I love, and which he loves too, and the other one I like. I don't love it. Uh, the first one, of course, was 1968's Planet of the Apes, the original one that spawned the four other sequels that came out each consecutive year. And this is the box set it came out of. It has the other four movies in there, and there's all the Apes movies, even the new trilogy that came out just a few years ago were released by 20th Century Fox. And as I said, this one came out in 1968. It starred Charlton Heston and Roddy McDowall and Kim Hunter. Um, just an awesome, iconic, epic movie, way ahead of its times with makeup effects. I I always still prefer just the makeup, the masks that the monkeys wore in the movie. I still think they look good in 2020. In the year 2020, I still think they look awesome. Just great makeup effects, practical effects used in the movies. Um, Really good score by Jerry Goldsmith. Haunting, eerie, kind of scary kind of score. Especially the opening notes. But it made $32.6 million during its American theatrical run, and it was made for $5.5 million. So that was a pretty good profit for this movie. Each Apes movie that came out after it were weirdly made. They were made budgeted for less money, even though the first one was a massive box office hit. $32.5 was a lot of money in 1968 for a film to gross. And but each, like Beneath the Planet of the Apes and Escape from the Planet of the Apes and Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, they were made for less and less money. Of course, the box office returns wasn't as great either, but if they had used a little bit more money, they probably would have made more money, but or maybe they wouldn't have. But I always thought that was kind of strange that as much as a success as these movies were, that they were made for less and less money. But 20th Century Fox did that quite often. The Omen series, they done that way too. I think the first Omen movie was budgeted at like $5 or $6 million. Then it came out and made $100 million in the summer of '76. And Damien Omen 2, when it came out, it was budgeted, I think, for like $3 million and made less money. But that was just a strange thing I always thought 20th Century Fox done. But this of course was, has one of the best memorable twist endings of all time. Uh, Surely everybody has seen it now, but I'm not going to say what it is. But if you haven't, it has an awesome twist ending. The first time I watched this, CBS TV, network TV used to show these. Used to show all five of them. It seems like a marathon, like each night, or maybe like one a week. I was probably only like 8 or 9 years old when I first watched this one. Uh, they would show each one during the Thanksgiving holiday, and my older brother, he was a big fan of the movies, and I'd sit and watch these with him in the living room, and that's how I first discovered Planet of the Apes, and yeah, great movie. James Higgins, I think this is his maybe third favorite movie of all time, and James has probably like 5,000 DVDs and Blu-rays. Probably half of them are multiple copies of the Planet of the Apes series and Alien, I think. Just kidding. But I know he's got multiple copies, editions of the Planet of the Apes movies and Wizard of Oz and Alien. Of course, I do too. If you love a movie, just as collectors, we try to get the different editions on, I've still got these on VHS, yeah, I really enjoyed watching Planet of the Apes, and I plan on watching the other four as soon as we get done with our Grumpy Old Gentleman marathon. Tonight I'm going to watch Ian's picks. But the second movie that James picked for me was 1988's Willow. This was directed by Ron Howard and produced by George Lucas. And I thought, for the last year, I hadn't thought much about this movie since 1988. It came out May 20th, I think, it came out Memorial Day weekend of 1988. And I remember thinking, my dumb hillbilly ass was thinking, oh great, another Star Wars movie, a Star Wars-like movie. I thought maybe it was like a space movie, be more science fiction, but instead I was shocked to see a movie about little people, starring little people. It starred Warwick Davis, and he was famously played the Ewok in Return of the Jedi. And I've done some reading on Wikipedia about him, and he was born in 1970, a year before I was born. So I guess that made him like 17 years old when he was filming this movie. And just by watching it last night, I said, well, he's probably late 20s, early 30s. But he was just a teenager when he made this movie, for crying out loud. He's just 50 years old now, which is a year older than me. But that kind of blew my mind that he was that young making this movie. But he had the starring role as Willow, and it's instead of a Star Wars type movie, we got a sword and sorcery movie. And Val Kilmer, he has a really good role in this movie. I guess he done this after Top Gun. And Joanne Whaley, his future wife, she starred as a princess, I believe. And the plot pretty much just concerned about a baby that Willow, the character Willow, had to protect from the evil queen, because the baby was destined for future things and whatever. But I found it a tad slow, and that's probably, I don't remember if I mentioned this already, but that time I saw this in the theater in 1988 was the only time I'd ever seen it. I never had bought the VHS or the DVDs or Laserdiscs or anything. Kind of forgot about it until the Blu-ray came out 8, 9, 10 years ago, and I saw it on the shelf at Walmart for like $12.96, and I grabbed it, and I intended on watching it then when I first bought it because I hadn't seen it since then. But last night was the first time I'd watched this movie in 32 years, just about 32 years. But I mean, it's an okay movie. It's a cult status type movie. But George Lucas, he thought that he had another E.T. on his hands, a big blockbuster type movie, and it wasn't. It was made, let's see, for 30. It was made for $35 million, and it only made like $57 million in the United States, 137 million worldwide, which was, that's good money, but it never got a sequel. They're supposed to be doing a TV series of this movie for the Disney Plus streaming channel. I read about that on Wikipedia. And Warwick Davis is supposed to reprise his role, but I'll never see it because I'll have no intention on ever getting Disney Plus. But it's a fine little movie. I think Ian Mumford likes it quite a bit, and I don't know if James actually likes it or just picked it for me to watch because he didn't like it. But I have to find out. But Planet of the Apes I give 4 stars to, and Willow I give 3 stars. It's a good little movie, nothing spectacular. Industrial Light and Magic, they done the special effects, and for 1988 they look pretty good. Lots of digital effects in the movie. The two-headed dragon looked pretty. I mean, for 1988, it looked good. It looked better than a damn Alien and Alien 3. Yeah, I'll give it that. I'll give Willow that. The special effects look really good for that. That's when all these digital effects started coming into play in movies. It was the mid to late 80s, but looked pretty good. But it was an interesting movie, and I'm glad I finally watched it after 32 years, and I will probably watch it again. I didn't hate it, but those were 2 good picks from Mr. James Higgins, DVD collector, 1974, and the next 2 that I'm going to watch will be The Wizard of Oz and Dark City, courtesy of Ian Mumford. That's the 2 he picked for me. And I'll have quite a bit to say about The Wizard of Oz. Dark City I saw once, probably on DVD, I think. I watched it. But, yeah. That's my little thoughts on Willow and Planet of the Apes. Thanks for watching. Peace, everybody. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.